Good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Weishuhn. If you enjoy real-world hunting and fishing talk, you're really going to enjoy listening to my good friend, Luke Clayton, and his guest for the next hour.
This is David Fox, and welcome to Outdoors with Luke Clayton and Friends. Luke has been a recognized outdoors writer for the past 3 decades and writes for a host of outdoor publications. Luke pens a weekly newspaper outdoors column that appears in over 40 Texas newspapers. Luke is on the pro staff of Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything air gun related. Smoking Tech's electric smokers and AGM Global Vision, maker of an awesome line of thermal hunting scopes and spotters. Feel free to contact Luke through his website, catfishradio.org. Now let's join Luke and his guests for this week's show.
Well, thank you guys for that nice introduction, and Mr. Weishuhn is right here with me. We've got some hog talk coming up. Larry, thanks for being with me, buddy, and I know you're primed and ready in just a little bit to talk about our new book all about hogs, right?
You know what? I actually am, but before we do that, we need to thank Dallas Safari Club, DSC, which is conservation, education, hunter advocacy, Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable, makers of some absolutely fantastic hog hunting ammunition as well, too. Mossberg, that builds some unbelievable rifles that I use a lot of, and Taurus, I love their handguns, and even Rossi, some of their lever actions, and of course Vineyard Max that we do a lot of things with, and then also Stealth Vision, which you and I both recently put on a rifle and had a chance to meet at the Cotton Ranch. But to me, you know, one of the great things about meeting there at the Cotton Ranch is that we got together with them, but also you had picked up our newest book, which you mentioned just a few moments ago, that we had printed there by Hill Print Solution in Dallas. And
That's right.
Look, you know what? That book turned out pretty darn good, if I have to say so myself.
I'm impressed with it. Yeah, folks, Larry and I picked up a bunch of the books, and we met in Kaufman County, Larry and I did, here last week, actually, week before last, I guess it was. And we shot with, we had our Stealth Vision scopes on those rifles out there, and we were shooting. I was very proud of those. But it's not too hard to shoot accurately with those rifles, those scopes that you just dial in. But we all shot good, getting a little bit hot. So there, me and Mr. Weishuhn are sitting under a good, cool air conditioner in the cabin down there on the Cotton Ranch signing books, and we signed a bunch of them. That's one thing about it. It's tell them about our book. I have been honored to co-write. This is the second book with Larry, and to me, it's just an awesome honor to share a book with Larry Weishuhn. But it's also a whole heck of a lot of fun, and I think that some of the fun that we've had hog hunting shines in that book. I really do believe that, Larry.
Luke, well, the honor is mine to have you as a co-author there, and I'm going to start with the cover because, gosh, back in the let's put it this way, in the last century.
Yep. Yep.
I had Don Keller. Don was an unbelievable artist that lived in South Texas. He's the one who illustrated my first book, and I've got a whole bunch of his paintings and that kind of thing. Don, unfortunately, has passed away, but I was thinking about writing a hog hunting book way back when, and so I got Don to do this painting of this pretty interesting wild boar, and it's hung in my house for a long, long time. It's actually one of my wife's favorite paintings, if you can imagine that. And I thought, man, one of these days I'm going to use that as a cover. And finally, you and I got talking about, we had talked about maybe redoing, your hog book from Kill to Grill, and then got to thinking about it. Well, let's just do a brand new book, and where we can cover some of the things that you covered there, and some hog hunting stories, and a little about some of the equipment we used in terms of handguns, and with you with the air rifles and archery, and a little bit of everything else kind of thing, and tell some stories and tell about some of our experiences with hog hunting, and I was able to include a little bit in the chapter there on javelina hunting, where you and I've hunted javelina in the past, and hunting actually wild hogs in New Zealand, but also a chapter on warthogs hunting in Africa kind of thing. But the vast majority of it is hunting hogs, hunting wild hogs, a little bit about biology, a little bit about how they got here, a little bit about a whole lot of different things. But and then, of course, we couldn't do a book about hunting wild hogs and this book is called The Poor Man's Grizzly. We're going to come back to that a little bit, but we could not do a hog hunting book, as far as I was concerned, without Luke Clayton writing about some of his favorite recipes, because I'm one of I wish there were more people that could taste the food that you make out of wild hog. I'm one of those, as far as I'm concerned, very fortunate and blessed people that get to do that occasionally. So some of your favorite recipes about preparing wild hog are even in this book.
Yeah, that's right, Larry. Always, when you mention the cooking of the wild pork, I always think back to a hunt that we had with Stephen Ray, the Rattling Forks, out there in West Texas.
Oh, yes.
And old Stephen, we did that a couple of 3 years there on a big ranch that Stephen was on, a big lease, and he made the Rattling Forks, and we rattled in lots of bucks. You did, and
sir.
he did, and we all did. But I would always bring what I called pulled pork sandwiches for the first night, and it was taking pulled pork to the next level, because I'd have garlic and chopped up garlic and jalapenos, and then I'd have the meat all chopped up with barbecue sauce. So it was pretty simple, but he demanded this on the second year. It was always and I'd always cook usually a wild hog ham, cook it in my smoking tex for 14 hours real slow, and it was always real tender. But I would then I'd put it in a skillet. I'd fry up a little bit of bacon, some little chipped up bacon, maybe half a pound, and then I'd put those garlic pods, a bunch of those, and the jalapeno in there with that bacon. Then I would blend it. He didn't know exactly what I was doing, but it's pretty basic, But he was always telling me, okay, now, you been shooting any hogs? I knew what he was getting at. So, but, wild pork it's not hard to cook. It's just slow cooking with. Now I'm talking about to make it tender. You can also fry wild pork. Schnitzel. Use a little tenderizer and make little thin steaks, and they're really good. But a big cut of pork, it takes a moisture and low temperature and hours to get it where we would want it. But we covered some cooking in there too, Larry. And folks, Larry, his biology training came out in that book with some technical information, but so did his storytelling too. That was the good part, because things that about the biology of hogs, you mentioned a lot of that throughout the book, but there's also a whole lot of just what I call nuts and bolts information on hunting hogs, Larry,
Look, there really is, and there's that truly so much information there. Now, you and I both like to hunt hogs. That doesn't mean that we go out at night and shoot every hog that we see, kind of thing. And nothing against anybody that does that, but it's just not. I think maybe you and I may be a little bit old school when it comes to hunting hogs, because to me, if I shoot something, I want there to be something used from it. And so we're generally shooting hogs that are the right size for eating. And occasionally I still like to hunt, big old toothed boar every once in a while too. I have to admit that, because I usually got a, new kind of rifle or a new load or something to field test. And to me, there's nothing better to field test those new loads on, as far as I'm concerned, than a big wild boar. Because if you can take down a big wild boar, and by shooting them through the shoulders and through the heart and lungs, I mean, that thing will take down anything in the world when you get right down to it. But I want to come back to the title, The Poor Man's Grizzly. It's called Poor Man's Grizzly, and goes back to a time years ago on the Nail Ranch. Johnny Hudman, Jay Wayne Fears and I, and we were talking about hog hunting experiences, and we're sitting over looking at the Clear Fork of the Brazos River, and big old boar walked out, up across the river, and you could see his teeth, and he was all burled up, and looked more like a European hog than a regular feral hog. And at the same time, Fears and I just kind of looked. Johnny was sitting in the middle, and we looked around at each other, and both of us said, "Poor man's grizzly," because those kind of hogs like that, particularly those older boars, they can be pretty darn tenacious of life and hard to bring down, kind of like a grizzly bear. And the more that I talk to people, the more I travel around, particularly the South and the Southwest, there have been some serious incidents about hogs hurting people and actually even very likely killing them. So there's that little bit of danger effect that comes into play when you hunt those, particularly those older mature boars, that is very much like hunting a grizzly bear. And for a lot of us, I've been fortunate. I've gotten to hunt grizzly and brown bear because of what I did a few years ago. But to me, that is a truly potential dangerous animal that's out there that we get to hunt. So, looking for a title, Poor Man's Grizzly just kind of seemed to stick out and recalling memories of when Fears and I were talking about it.
Yep, we can reflect back on many, many hog hunts. Larry, I've been fortunate, really. I've never had a close call. I had a boar run over me one time. I've told you about it early on in my writing career. I was doing an article for the newspapers, a newspaper feature for about hog hunting with a couple of guys that ran hogs with dogs, and they'd bait up the dogs had bait up a big old boar, and I had a Pentax K1000 camera. I was so proud of it. This was 25, 30 years ago, maybe. I was on the Brosico Ranch, where that is, near Mount Pleasant, Texas. And Damon Hodges and Wade Cobb, we were all horseback, way back in there, and the strike dogs, we heard them open up back in the middle of nowhere. 45,000 acres of woods is that ranch, and anyway, we got up there, and a big old, I'm talking about a honest 200-pound boar. He's probably a little bigger than that, really, but he was a big hog, maybe 225. So he had a dogo, which is an Argentina catch dog, and a pit bull, two of them, and they had caught. And then old Damon, he was a salty rascal back in those days. He's got his knee on the hog's shoulder. The hog is down. Well, I was excited. I'm gonna get some good pictures with my new Pentax camera, film camera, which you have to focus, and it takes a little time to focus. So I wanted they had some big cutters and whetters, big old teeth. I laid down about 3 feet in front of that hog, and the hog was honestly down. I mean, the two dogs on him and Damon, with his knee on him. Somehow that hog come loose. He come unwound. he ran right over me, and it scared me to death.
I can imagine.
And he wasn't attacking, but that's as close as I've ever come to really getting hurt. And I've tracked him and trailed him, blood trailed and everything. I've led a charmed life, Larry, on the hogs, but I've talked to so many of my buddies, you and others, that have really had some serious calls with them,
I've been charged several times by old boars. Sometimes it was totally uncalled for as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
And other times it probably was, because there was a time or two that years ago I hunted some of the big boars there up in all that country up north of Abilene, and loved it, and hunted them with shotguns, rifles, muzzle loaders,
whatever.
Conventional rifles kind of thing. And I would find a sow probably that was in heat, and there'd be like 8 or 10 boars following her, and you'd get close to that sounder of boars with that one sow, and that old top hog, whichever we thought he was, when you got close, he kind of looked at you like you were a rival. And I mean, I've had him come running at me, and there was no doubt about the intent. They were wanting to do bodily harm. Thankfully, the rifle or the pistol that I was shooting at the time had a little bit more foot-pounds of energy than what he did coming towards me.
That's good. Well, Larry, they're telling already we're out of time. I wish we had about 4 hours.
I knew that. But Luke, before we leave, we've got to tell people that the only places they can buy Poor Man's Grizzly is by going to your website, which is www.catfishradio.org, or my website, which is www.larryweishuhn, LarryWeishuhn.net. And if they'll give us order them there, we'll make sure they get an autographed copy as well, too.
We'll send them some of those copies that we signed on the Cotton Ranch. Larry, until next week, buddy, be safe and have fun, okay?
Looking forward to it.
Folks, this segment is made possible by Ultramatic Feeders. Go online to ultramaticfeeders.com and check out the most awesome line of game feeders in the world. I've been using these things for 15 years, and I've got one that's been in the woods about 10 or 11 years. I forget exactly how long. Check them out, ultramaticfeeders.com. Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything air gun related, anything you need. relating to air guns, go online to Pyramid, Pyramyd, pyramidair.com. Folks, this segment is made possible by Smoking Tex electric smokers that I've been using a long, long time, Catfish Pro, catfishing baits and catfish supplies, Ultramatic feeders, and AGM Global Vision, maker of the spotters and thermal scopes that I hunt with. Well, friends, what do you say we head way up north, up in the north part of Saskatchewan, and visit with a good friend of mine, Michelle Wohlberg. Now, Michelle is a seasoned veteran guide. She's spent a lifetime in the outdoors, and people that hire her services are lucky if they'll just listen to her. Michelle, you're up at Asquattican Lake Lodge. Our friend Bryce Liddell owns Asquattican Lake Lodge. You've been up there helping him do the fishing, and now the clients are gone, and you're with your family having some fun. Is that right?
Yes, sir, Luke. I'm up here slamming those big walleye that all the fishermen left behind for me.
I saw a picture of one. I don't know if Brad Fenson, my friend Brad, somebody called a 31 or 32-inch walleye. That's a monster, you know? I mean.
Yeah. No, Luke, I guided quite a few times this season for folks and took them out. And one gal, she caught two walleye that one was over 30 and one was at 30 inches.
Ooh,
to me, that's just crazy.
Yeah, I've never caught one. Of course, I haven't fished for walleyes that much, but never caught one that big at all. But Asquattican Lake Lodge, that's one of many fly-in camps in Saskatchewan, folks, and I absolutely love fishing. I didn't get to make it up there this summer, but I usually do, and spend 5 days up there. Michelle and I are going to hook you up with that operation, Asquattican Lake Lodge here. So grab your pencil. A little bit later, we'll give a website. It's kind of a do-it-yourself thing up there, but it's really not. There's the cabins there, the boats, the fuel, the fish cleaning is even part of the thing. It's not as expensive as some of what we might consider 5-star lodges, but to be honest with you, Michelle, that's what I like about it, because you can go fishing when you want to. You can fry your fish when you want to do it, and you can, if you know how to cast and you're pointed in the right direction, you can catch a bunch of fish there at Asquattican, can't you? You know?
Absolutely. You don't need to hire a guide here. You know, it's usually just Bryce and myself and working. Mm-hmm. So you take your boat out. We show you the spots. I give you a map where I don't hide nothing. I tell everybody where I'm going and what I'm using to catch on. I don't hide. I got no secret spots on this lake. You head out to one of those spots, and if you come back in and you're struggling, you come and talk to me. And I'll either take you out for a guiding session, or I'll say, Kate, follow me. Let's go see what you're doing here, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I know everything. Bryce does say I could catch fish in a rain barrel, but that's not true. I saw on television. I'm almost starved not catching fish, so I'm not perfect. But
folks, Michelle I've often kid her. I don't really kid. I'm dead serious. There's probably not an outdoor lady of the year, I don't think. If it is, it's not. I don't know about it, put it that way, but Michelle would qualify. I've often said, Michelle, if I were you guide wherever, bear, whatever that's in the hunting too, deer and bear and moose, whatever. If you were my guide, I guarantee you the first thing I'd say is, you tell me what's next and I'll do it. You know, but you have that. The way you learn things is by doing it, and you've done it for many years, haven't you?
Yeah, it's really my passion, you know, and I jump around, and it's not because I don't love somewhere where I'm at. I've got a complex in my brain where I just want to keep learning and growing, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And I go, why don't I know how to do that? I'm going to learn how to do that. And I'll self-teach, and I'll find somebody to show me, or I'll follow somebody around like a puppy dog till I know till I know that job and move on to the next thing. You know, which is what I'm in the transition of doing right now, Luke. I don't know if I told you, but I got a pretty exciting job coming up here.
I want to hear about it. It's up northern, near the Northwest Territories, right?
Yeah, right there. There's a lake called Selwyn Lake, and it hasn't been in operation. That lodge hasn't been in operation for many, many years, and it's been over 8 years since anybody's even been caretaking it. So there's a crew of people there right now who are kind of doing some renovations just to fix the bear damage and stuff like that that's been done. And I got headhunted to go open up that lodge where nobody's been, nobody's fishing, nobody's hunting for a great number of years, probably 10 to 15 years probably since that camp was in proper operation. And they called me up and said, I need somebody who can go to the bush and make something happen. And I said, tell me more.
Yeah, that's your, as they say, your MO. Wow, now that's a place that I'd like to go. The problem with me in Saskatchewan, I love Squattacan Lake Lodge fishing with Bryce and you. I know that lake pretty well. I mean, you don't have to be a professional fisherman to catch a lot of fish, but I know how to get around, and I just love that. But, the Department of Tourism is one of my sponsors, the Saskatchewan Department of Tourism, and they like me to branch out and tell about other places and all that. That new place, don't forget to tell him about old Luke down in Texas, because that sounds like oh my gosh. I mean, I'm not your 5-star type person. I'll be honest about it. I've been to some really nice lodges, where everything is, you got your chef and all that. And I like it. Who wouldn't like it? But really, what I prefer, take just a cabin and a rustic place up there, and I bet the fishing's good on I don't know zero about that area or that lake. It probably hasn't been fished a whole lot. Do you know?
It has not.
Yeah.
No, it's the fly-in only place as well.
Yeah.
And it's remote. I mean, half that lake sits in the Northwest Territories and half is in Saskatchewan.
Oh boy.
And in that lake, you've got northern pike, which grow to tremendous lengths, easy to catch, and then lake trout as well. So you've got that big, deep water belly laker. And another species that I'm super excited to get back into fishing, haven't fished since I worked in the Yukon, is Arctic grayling. And I love Arctic grayling. Man, those little fish put up a fight.
They're jumpers, and I caught some in Cree River, Cree River over there, some Arctic grayling. The only ones I've ever caught, honestly. But, yeah, and like a 4-pounder's a big one, isn't it, really? I mean.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, really big, yeah.
Pretty big one. But, they're beautiful fish. But I'll be honest, the northern pike, I would go up to any of those lakes knowing the only fish I was going to catch is a northern pike. And knowing somebody like you or Bryce is there that knows how to expertly fillet those things. I could learn, but I'm up there 5 days. I don't want to take the time to learn. I want to try to catch some more, But, so there's a lot of pike. Tell me that lake again, the name of it. Up there.
Selwyn Lake.
Selwyn
Lake, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Is it a pretty big lake?
It's really big, yep.
Yeah.
Not humongous, but as far as lakes go, yep, it's a big one. It's up there in that Canadian Shield and the rock. So you got all those islands on there and rocky formations and tendrils kind of coming off that lake into long, skinny bays. Mm-hmm. Lots of water flow. I haven't been there yet. So I've looked at the map online, and, a big part of my job on top of getting that camp functional and operational is scouting for moose and for bear, because I will be selling moose and bear hunts for next year. So I'm out there, going to be scouting for all that moose habitat. I'll be there during the rut. Mm-hmm. So I'll be doing lots of calling and seeing what I can find. And then also I'll be establishing some bear hunting spots as well. So, I'm already looking at topographical maps, looking at movement of not just water, but low-lying areas, marshy areas, things that are creating habitat for animals to live in. And I'm just, I get so excited, where I get the opportunity to go and get dropped off on a place where there's been nobody. And I think, am I the only person who's ever been on this island in 100 years?
That's Maybe. What I think.
And that excites me.
That's what when I fly up there, I probably bore my buddies. I say, look, see that little spot right down, that little island down there? Has anybody ever been on that as a human, ever set foot? Surely the Cree Indians or somebody has in the last eons, But, yeah, I mean, you're up there. It's a whole different world. Folks, if you're listening and you've never been up into Saskatchewan, and you've thought, and you like to fish or you like to hunt, I've done a lot more fishing up there. That's what I usually do, but I love to hunt anywhere, anything, just about. But give it a try. The Department of Tourism is a good place, a good contact, but another good contact is Michelle Wohlberg that we're talking to. We're going to give Michelle's information, and call her up, talk to her. I mean, I promise you won't find anybody more knowledgeable. Just give her a call or an email or a text or whatever you want to do, and let her be your informant up there in Saskatchewan. Would that work for you, Michelle?
Yeah. You know what? The easiest way is sending me a text message or an email. My social media presence is kind of non-existent. I'm around, but I don't get on it to check it all the time. Part of that, Luke, is I spend so much time out in the bush.
Yep, I know.
And then I get back into cell phone service. And I don't have Wi-Fi. I don't have cell phone service. I run off of sat phones and Garmin GPS, and so I can get messages. But I am just, whether somebody comes to a fish or hunt with me, that would be great. I mean, we all pay our bills by doing that. But more important to me is getting people out into nature and come and see what Saskatchewan has to offer. I know of so many camps and just different price points for everybody and different places to go. From a drive-in place, you come drive up from the U.S., bring your boat. Yep. I know of a place for you, those people are going to look after you. And, things like that where it's so important to me for people to get out into nature by themselves, with their friends, with their family. You want a kid-friendly place? I know where to send you.
Yeah,
right. And to me, that's just, it makes my heart grow 10 sizes. You can probably hear I'm getting excited thinking about it.
While I'm thinking about
I'm
thinking about that remote camp up there. I could just see that place already. Anyway, so I've written a lot about mostly Saskatchewan, going up there fishing and all. And I've actually pointed a lot of people up there in the last 9 or 10 years. I have through my newspaper column and stuff like. I've had them call me up. Well, I can tell them so much. I can tell them what I know. Okay, folks. Now here's Michelle. Tell them your whatever you want to tell them where they can contact you, and you can help me help all these Texans and people from Oklahoma and Louisiana and all that. You can help me inform them. So, how do they reach you?
My email. So it's my first name, MICHELLE. Wohlberg, WOHLBERG @hotmail.com.
Okay.
Michelle.Wohlberg@hotmail.com. Pretty easy. And honestly, I'm going to throw my phone number out there.
Yeah, let her go. Yep.
And send me a text. So it's 1-306-381-8779.
Folks, this is an opportunity right here. Let me repeat that, Michelle. And make sure I got it right. 1-306-381-8779.
You got it, Luke.
Okay, good deal. Well, I know your family and you want to go catch more of those walleye. Fillet one and fry one up for me, and maybe next summer I can get back up there with you folks. How about that?
You know what? I would love to have you back, Luke. And anybody's listening, it's an honest offer. Give me a call, and I'll hook you up where you want to go, or answer your questions, or text me if you got too many questions, because I'm going out fishing, and I'm not going to have service for the rest of the day, and that's just honestly how I operate my life.
There you go.
I'm really out there.
Go have fun,
yeah,
Michelle.
I'm going to go have shore lunch. Yeah, I'm going to go out there and have shore lunch on Abram Island on my little rocky outcrop there.
Lucky people.
I know. You remember that spot, yeah.
Yep.
All right, Luke. Thank you for taking time to talk to me this morning, and I can't wait to send you some photos of me heading up north.
Okay, go have fun. Folks, let's talk a little outdoor cooking. Let me tell you about an electric smoker that I've been using for 15 years, I guess. Smoking Tex electric smokers. If you're tired of staying up all night keeping that wood fire burning when you're barbecuing, give Smoking Tex a try. They're made to last a lifetime. You can check them out at smokingtex.com. That's SMOKINTEX.com. Well, friends, Mr. Larry Weishuhn is going to tell you about the finest hunting optics that we have ever found.
Luke, these are called Stealth Vision. They come from Crockett, Texas. Dr. John McCall developed them. They're 34 millimeter tubes as opposed to the narrower tubes, so more light transmission. They have a little green light that comes on. That scope is leveled because that's when you want to pull the trigger. They have an optional lighted reticle as well, too, and a whole lot of other products, and folks can learn more about them by going to stealthvision.com.
And for seasonings, anything to do with outdoor cooking, all kind of jerky seasonings, sausage seasonings, Butcher Packer Supply. That's butcherpackersupply.com. I think the website is butcher-packer.com. Folks, how about that little intro from Ernest Tubb there? This segment here is brought to us by the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma, owned by the Choctaw Nation. Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything airgun related. Doug's Jugs, maker of some awesome jug lines for catching catfish. That's online, DougsJugs.com. Well, friends, we have done a lot of talking about hunting, big game hunting, but let's talk some fishing. What do you say? Let's go up to Lake Texoma, right there on the Texas-Oklahoma border. Striped bass capital of the world as far as I'm concerned, and visit with Mr. Bill Carey with Striper Express. Good morning to you, Bill.
Well, good morning, Luke, and all y'all out in radio land.
We're sitting here with bated breath. We want to hear about some summer striper fishing. One thing I do know, okay, I don't need to tell all our friends that, hey, there's your pet crow in the background. I heard it.
There you go.
Okay, I bet he's been watching those striper boats come and go out there. But anyway, that crow, I kind of like crows, so it kind of got me distracted there, Bill. But back to fishing. It's summertime, and I know for a fact that about 11 to 5, and it gets hot out there. And the crow agrees with me. I hear him. That meant that he agrees. So you guys beat the heat and catch the fish. Tell us how you do that, Bill.
Oh, I love it. I tell people, too hot to fish, not the way we do it.
Mm-mm.
We board and depart at 5:30 a.m., run about 10 miles up to the first school, find some topwater fish, throw them plugs on these old mean and sassy stripers for an hour, hour and a half, and then they're going to sound. And if you're lucky, they're going to stay grouped up in the same school, and we follow them with electronics. And then we rip slabs, one of Luke's favorites.
Yep.
Ripping slabs, and these fish will just about take it out of your hand when they hit it because that slab's running fast. And then about 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock, you'll be catching, then you won't. What's going on is they are shutting off. You have got it done. So when it's unanimous, get some wind in your face. Head back to the marina. Take pictures. Have your guide clean your catch. And shake hands and go find some air because your body acclimates to the sunrise and you don't know it's warm until you hit land and it's warming up fast. So it's not too hot to fish the way we do it. We're shaking hands by about 11 a.m.
Bill, that's an excellent description of the way you guys fish in the summer, and I'm all for it. I mean, yeah, you could be out there. I don't want to be out there at noon. I mean, my gosh, the fish, they're smarter than that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you can't catch them at noon, but make it comfortable, you know. And the crow agrees. I hear him. Every time I say something, he'll come in there and chime in with us. But,
you know, about noon in the summertime, those pleasure boaters are out. And,
yeah,
you know, they can drive right through a school of topwater fish if they're even surfacing. So we get her done that way, and, you know, it's not too hard on the person.
No, it's fun. And then they leave there with refresh before they get real hot with a couple of bags of nice, very fresh striper fillets, which is, to me, I don't know. I guess I'm old. I know I'm old school, Bill, but I love to fish. But I also, I like to eat fish just like you do. And when it comes to baked or broiled or blackened or fried striped bass, a lot of people, they don't know, as an old buddy of mine says, they don't know because they don't know. But they are very, very tasty. And absolutely, I've got to where I love to eat them, blackened. They're good any way you want to cook them. So slabs,
Luke,
go right ahead,
I tell people I don't eat as much fish as you think, but in the last month I've had the blackened fish the way you do it 3 times in the butter, not the hot scalding skillet.
Yes, sir.
Put that butter in there. Let them fillets cook 2 or 3 minutes per side. Put that Cabela's blackened seasoning on them.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, my goodness gracious. It's so fast, and it's such an easy cleanup. It's so good.
Folks, if in today's show, if you don't pick up any more tips, I want you to listen to what Bill just said. You'll thank Bill Carey and me, and the Crow agrees. But, I heard him in the background. So get your skillet hot, medium hot, not smoking hot, and not dry. Put you some butter in there. Take this Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's, they have, it's called Backwoods Blackening, I think is the official name of it, Bill. But it's a big shaker, and it doesn't cost a lot. Some of those old, the original blackening seasonings are little round bottles, and they're quite expensive, and you'll use one every time you blacken some fish. But get that Backwoods Blackening from, they're not a sponsor, but, I use them, and you used it, Bill. You get that, and it's a big old shaker full. Shake it liberally on each side of your fillet. You got your butter heated up, medium hot, not smoking. Put it in there. And like Bill said, let it cook about 3 or 4 minutes on one side and flip it over, and then kind of just brown it a little bit. And it's blackened fish, but it's not dry. What do you do when you blacken fish the Paul Prudhomme way? You put it in a dry skillet, smoking hot, and you scorch it. The Crow is with me on this. And then you scorch it, and then you put lemon butter on it. So we cook it with the butter in it. At a lower heat, it's the way to go. Bill, I wanted to get you on with me this morning amidst all this big game hunting talk. StriperExpress.com is how they find you. Give a phone number if they want to give you a call, buddy, up there at Lake Texoma. Yeah.
Our number is 903-786-4477. That's 903-786-4477. 4477.
And I will chime in and say, give Bill a call and get up there and have you some summer fishing fun during the cool part of the day. Bill, I do hope to get up there with you in the next day or two. I want to see the Crow, make sure he knows I'm coming, okay?
All right, fella.
Folks, this is Luke. For about the past decade, I've been hunting editor for Air Gun Hobbyist magazine. I think the only magazine devoted strictly to air gun shooting and hunting in the country. Well, in that length of time, I've learned quite a bit about big bore air guns and smaller calibers too. A spot to go to that if you're interested in air guns, you need to know about Pyramid Air. The website is PYRAMYD, pyramidair.com. They have anything and everything you need, from the guns themselves, the big bores or the smaller calibers, to the accessories. Just remember pyramidair.com, and there's a number when you get on the website if you need to call and talk to somebody. Give them a buzz, and they can fill you in on little details that you might need to know about shooting or hunting with big bore air guns. While you're on the website there, I'd like you to check out the big bore air gun that I've done a great deal of hunting with. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw, 50 caliber, pressures up to 3,000 psi, and it looks like a conventional rifle. Wooden stock. I think you'll like the appearance, and I know you'll like the performance. It shoots not only bullets, but also air bolts as well, tipped with a broadhead. Check it out. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw.
The snowflakes fall as winter comes, and time just seems to fly.
Friends, this segment is brought to us by CVA muzzleloaders. In my opinion, the very best muzzleloaders in the world, the ones that I shoot. You can check them out online, cva.com. AGM Global Vision, maker of the Rattler and the Adder that I use. You can check them out online too, agmglobalvision.com. Kubi's Wild Game Processing and Kubi's Restaurant in Dallas. And Vineyard Max, maker of some awesome deer attractant and some very fine game feeders and fish feeders located down in Nacogdoches, Texas. Check them out at vineyardmax.net. Well, folks, in today's show, we have had somewhat of a hunting theme. Of course, Mr. Whitetail, Larry's been on the show for 16.5 years in Campfire Talk. We've talked about hunting every week. Michelle Wohlberg, who I said many times should qualify as the Outdoor Woman of the Year. She's the real deal as far as guiding. I tell you what we're going to do now. We're going to visit with Mr. Matt Burgess. Now, Matt is a good friend, a new friend, but a good friend. With Stealth Vision. You hear Larry and I talking about Stealth Vision a lot, the optics. Well, Matt's with them, but he also guides up in the wilderness, up in Alaska, and also he lives near Ennis, Montana, and there's a ranch right there that he guides on for elk. Let's just talk some hunting and guiding. Matt, thanks for enduring this lengthy intro, buddy.
Well, you're trying to make me sound good, and I don't know.
I've had the privilege of, well, actually, down at Crockett, Texas, Dr. John McCall that originated the Stealth Vision and come up with all those cool optics that makes those scopes work. Well, I had the chance to shoot with you, and oh yeah, so we had a fun day out there. A little bit warm in the afternoon, but we did our shooting in the morning. I think it'd be fun, Matt. A lot of people are planning mountain hunts. I call up in the Rockies.
Yeah. Right
now in the summer. They've already got them planned, but for years you've guided elk hunts there at I think it's the Jumping Horse Ranch up there near Ennis, Montana. Yep. Right? Is that it? Yep. So there's no openings for that, and we're not trying to book hunts here because Matt said that's such a popular place. But people can get ready. They need to get ready, and one of the keys to a successful rifle hunt is the rifle and the optics. So let you talk a little bit about that. What you want your client to show up with when they come on that elk hunt with you.
Yeah. Well, so Larry, it's a draw process here. We do have a pretty good draw odds in the state of Montana. And, my local Montana folks get angry when I talk about out-of-staters coming in, but I'll tell you, a hunter to me is not an out-of-stater. They're family, especially if they're good and they've got the heart for hunting. But, I guide a lot of elk hunts, and I have for some time, and I'm lucky enough to work with two of the best guides and outfitter, in my opinion, in the state, Jeff Klein. And anyways, we've got a great setup, and I've told you this several times, and I'll tell it to your audience. I stand behind a lot of rifles being shot. I watch hunters set up. And I've done this for years now, and what I notice is if you don't have a good shooting system, your confidence level's down, or you're struggling to get inside of your scope, and you're questioning yourself. And so a couple years ago, I went on this journey, and I'm a guide first. Anything I do, I've always been a guide first in this arena, because that's what I really genuinely love and care about. I went on a journey to try to find the best system possible, to find the best scope possible and the best rifle system possible. And I ran into Stealth at the Sheep Show in Reno. And I looked through their optics and I thought, wow, that is a super clear optic. Their price point was right in the sweet spot. And then I started talking to them about their entire rifle system setup and how they changed their MOA to yardage. So if the guide's, calling out yardage with his rangefinder binos that Stealth's actually coming out with here in the next 30 days, which are phenomenal. I just did the test run on those, and Luke, you actually got to test those out too.
I did. Awesome. Yep.
Exactly. Great glass. Anyways, I was in love with the glass. I thought, man, these are really good. I see something special here. But really what the heart of it was is that their entire system, I could go into the technology of how it collects, all 97.6% of the light, and it goes all the way back to the macula behind the eye, and it, connects to the brain. That would probably bore people. But Doc's actually way better explaining that than I am.
He's an eye surgeon, isn't he? Yeah.
Yes, he is. And that is the first time an eye surgeon, an eye doctor in the hunting world have put together a product. The only one that I know of out there, and it has the proprietary technology to it. So as a hunting guide, I go, okay, what does this equal? Because that's what it comes down to. The hunter, what is this going to do for the hunter? And what it does is it's going to give them a level of confidence that will surpass anything else in the market. I know it will, because I've went to shooting ranges and I've done demo shoots with many, many other companies. I've looked at, a dozen scopes over the last year. I field tested a dozen scopes of different, brands. This has the real deal. This is the program where somebody can take something out of a box. Now that I'm not going to get you as a guide to try to shoot 1,200 yards, but out of the box, this rifle system will shoot 1,200 yards at a 5-inch group. It's 1,000 yards. It's 1,000 yards at a 5-inch group guarantee. You and I shot at 1,200 yards, and we were shooting a really good group as well as 5-inch.
I was amazed because that was we were down at Crockett, friends. That's where we were at. Dr. John McCall's got a lodge out there and some land. And I was in the service years ago and shot 500 meters, but I was shooting at what was called a dog target. It was a big old target, probably 4 feet across and 3 feet high. And you're shooting peep sights on an M16. And prior to that, an M14 is what we qualified with. So I thought, man, you hit that dog target, you're doing pretty good. Well, this new, the quality of the scopes, I was shooting 1,200 yards. I don't know what kind of group. I couldn't even see it. I think you were spotting. Somebody was spotting for me.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you hit it within 9 inches or whatever. But I think you could probably cover the 3 shots with a basketball, something like that. I never did really even see the shots, to be honest, but I was listening to y'all. But that's phenomenal. Now, is old Luke going to be shooting a deer or a hog or whatever at 1,200 yards? I'm definitely not. I probably can't. Most of the places I hunt, you can't see them that far, But right. The confidence I have that on my CVA Cascade rifle now, that scope, and with the turret on there that's burned in.
That's right.
So now all I have to worry about, can I shoot one? Say I was on a big wheat field and the buck that I've been looking for comes out at 489 yards or 621 yards, whatever. Just reach up there and first you turn it all the way to the left. There's a stop there on the turret, and then you just dial it in. Dial in 621, 625, whatever. And it's that simple. But having the ability, like you've told me, having the confidence of knowing that, can you shoot one at 200 yards still? You better believe it. But if that, say an elk or whatever that you're guiding, and that first shot, lethal shot, but he's on the run, and he stops out there at 700-800 yards, you can still put him down ethically. So that's where that kind of technology, to me, Matt, that's why I think it's really so important,
Oh, it has all the variables that if you have the confidence going into a hunt, all the variables that are going to try to throw that confidence off, the one thing you can lean on is you're going to be able to stay in that scope. If you got a guide next to you and he's doing his job, he's going to call the yardage, he's going to reach over, and he's going to throw that turret to where it needs to be at, and you're going to stay in that scope. It has an anti-cant green light in it, which means when you bring that scope to level, when it's green, you go. That means you can fire. Mm-hmm. And you can make a repeatable shot. So, if I'm out, I'll give you a scenario. I take a hunter out. We go up in the mountains. It's early in the morning. The bulls are coming up. They've broken off from the herd. And we look off. Here comes one. We get him at 300 yards. The hunter's set up, whether we're on a tripod or we're laying flat, whatever it is.
Yep.
He has that confidence. He takes the shot, let's say 300 yards. A bull's going to go on a death run. We got to get another bullet in it. But knowing, and I call out and I say, it's at 800 yards. He stopped and he's turned sideways. To have the confidence to be able to squeeze that trigger, I have sat behind many hunters that could not have made that shot previously. With this system, without a doubt, they will have the confidence to throw another round and effectively take that bull down.
Yep, and that confidence comes only one way. There's only one way I've ever been able to be confident with anything, and that's doing it, you know? And
Yes.
Back to my 1,200 yard shooting. I mean, I really was when I said everybody else had already shot, and I thought, well, the heat waves would come in, you know, it's warming up, Texas summer. I thought, I've never shot 1,200, but I've seen some of these guys whacking that target way down there. Let me start there. But so then, I mean, I was really dubious. I mean, I really was. I mean, can I hit this thing at 12? But it was a solid rest, a bench. I mean, you know, if you know how to squeeze and aim and all that, you can, just about anyone, I'm sure, could do that. But by doing it, that's where I gained the confidence. Now, like I say, on this the scope, if I see the buck out there at 400 yards and I've got a good rest, I have the least qualms about taking that shot come this fall. And I'll be on some places where there's a chance to get some good sized whitetail, you know. So I'm fired up about that, Matt. I'll tell you, it was sure nice to meet all you guys, all of you, Joe and Doc and Larry Weishuhn was down there with us. Andy Anderson was there. It was a great time down there. Great time. Had a ball. Want to do it again next time you come down, man.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, I tell you, so we've got a few more minutes, but the main thing is when they show up to hunt elk in the mountains, the rifle and I can tell folks this: don't put a bargain basement scope on the rifle. We've read this in the outdoor magazines. I have for years. The scope better be better than a quality scope is important. Most rifles out to 300 yards are all going to be okay, maybe a little farther. Right. But if without a good scope, you're kind of spinning your wheels, aren't you, Matt?
You are I mean, these are not bargain basement scopes, obviously the technology and the quality of them, but they're also, they're in the sweet spot in the price point. And it's like when you hire an attorney, you can either pay him to try or you can pay him to win.
Yep.
I want to win.
That's a good one. That's a good
These
way.
hunts, yep. I'm telling you, I took a school bus driver out. He'd worked his entire life to go elk hunting. He was 82 years old. Dean was such a fan. He's still elk hunting. He retired as a school bus driver, worked at a paper mill and then school bus.
Yep.
I take him out. He saved up all those years to have a really good system. And we went out and actually Jeff took him out and killed a great bull elk. And just watching his face light up and realize he had put that much effort and time his entire life to get to this very moment. When you go out elk hunting, it means something. When you go up to the North Country and you're bear hunting and moose hunting, it means something. If you're going overseas into Asia, it means something. Why in the world would you want to lean on a cheap product that's not going to work? You got to have the right tools for the job. And in those moments, they mean everything. You're away from your family. You're away from your job. You're away from your kids. Everything matters in that moment. And to have the right tools in that system. And I hear people all the time, they'll tell me about a product. And I said, what does the product do? Well, I was watching this video and I saw this guy do this with it. And I go, you need to get behind something and try it out and make sure you're comfortable with it, because you need to have that confidence walking into it. This is the only system that I found that is repeatable. What I mean by that is you can keep slinging the same rounds downrange at animals, and you're going to get the same result every time.
Yep, the same point of impact at the various yardages that it's dialed in for. I don't think I've ever heard it explained any better, Matt. That's a good job of talking about what a hunt is, what it's all about, and that gentleman that was 80, I could just see that. And he left with, like you say, he's coming back. He's coming back to hunt more. Wish we had more time, but we're about out of time. The scope that you're talking about and the rifle scope combination that Stealth Vision offers, that's online, Stealth, STEALTH, stealthvision.com. And, Matt, I would like to get you back again before long, and we've got some time before the seasons open up, the hunting seasons, but get you to share some more information with us. How about that?
Let's do it, Luke. Thank you.
Folks, that about wraps our show up for this week. I've enjoyed being with you, and I hope you've had a good time, too. This segment was made possible by AGM Global Vision, maker of the Rattler and the Adder, two awesome thermal scopes that I use for all my night hunting. Check out AGM, all the products that they have there online, agmglobalvision.com. And, folks, we're also brought to you by the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma, located about, 45 minutes west of Hugo, Oklahoma, owned by the Choctaw Nation. It's about 45,000 acres of awesome mountain, country, hills, valleys, loaded with game. Lots of eastern turkey, and they do eastern turkey hunts if you're looking for a spot to hunt turkey in the spring. Also, I want to remind you about the Seneca 50 caliber Dragon Claw that shoots bullets and pellets. And by pellets, I'm talking about 200 and 210 grain lead, chunks of lead. It's a big bore air gun that I use. Check out the Seneca Dragon Claw there at pyramidair.com.